All right, Shalom. I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Harak HaKodash. Also want to give double honors to my apostles and elders at Great Millstone, and honors to all you fellow laborers that are enduring afflictions to bring out this word in sincerity and in faith. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Harak HaKodash, Barakathum, to all you sincere listeners. Okay, so the name of this lesson is Dreams of Californication Have Turned into Nightmares. Because I was watching the Elder Quan Awaf in his video, the Most High is flexing on California with storms, and pretty much he's flexing on California in general. He's just bringing plagues upon this place. And I played this song Californication by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. They're a band from LA. Because the wine really comes out of California. It comes out of America as a whole, yet the media, the seat of the media is down in LA, and the technology by which people can access the media comes out of the Bay Area. I know New York is known as the Empire State because that's really the financial capital. Yet what disseminates to these other nations, it's really based in California. So, Californication is a portmanteau of California and fornication, appearing in Time on May 6, 1966, and written about on August 21st, 1972. Additionally seen on bumper stickers in the U.S. states of Idaho, Washington, Oklahoma, and Texas. It was a term popular in the 70s and referring primarily to the haphazard, mindless development of land that has already gobbled up most of Southern California, which some attributed to an influx of Californians to other states in the western U.S. Yeah, because even when you go up to Oregon, they'll have a prohibited sign. So they'll have a sign, okay, home for sale. Yeah, it'll have a prohibited sign and it'll say California because they don't want Californians going up there and turning it out pretty much. The concept is, this is the point though, the concept is also familiar within the social sciences and is understood as American cultural imperialism emanating from California. Yeah, just to back up what I was saying. Because when people come over here, the accent that they believe is an American accent is really a Californian accent. The way that a lot of people envision America is California. Okay, everybody act like Californians. And when you go into the doctrines that are really sweeping the world, they really started, most of them in particular, in the Bay Area. And I remember I was out on Polk Street. I was with the brother Hanat, and we ran into some chicks from Boston, and she started talking to me about it. She said, "Wow, it's crazy how within a 15-mile radius, all of these movements really came." San Francisco, Berkeley, Oakland, whether it be the feminist movement, the Black liberation movement, Chicano movement, the Church of Satan, pretty much anything that's groundbreaking, so to speak, within American activism, it really starts in the Bay Area, which the Bay Area is a part of California. The concept is also familiar within the social sciences, Salaki, and is understood as American cultural imperialism emanating from California. Yeah, and it starts with the rest of the states. Because once California does something, give it 5-10 years, everybody else is going to be on it. That's generally the trend. This Californication is a particular ethos packaged as a cultural commodity and broadcast through the world in order to penetrate into other cultures. You see? And it's what? California and fornication. So I'm gonna get a precept real quick. This is Revelation chapter 18, verse 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And this is talking about who? Babylon. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. That's right, man. So people get seduced into following America. the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And it starts within California, America, and then the rest of the world. But now everybody's catching on to the fact that this is BS, and that this wine make you sick, man. Make you angry, make you bugged out. And it says all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, verse 7. Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. And you see that. Everybody's listening to American music, watching American movies. Well, that's why they got, in India, they got a Bollywood, and in Nigeria, they got a Nollywood. Where did they get that from? They got that from Hollywood, which all types of sicko stuff goes down in Hollywood. Yet that's a great tourist attraction. Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. And you see that. Californication. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Yeah, and now these nations are totally bugged out. And what Babylon, aka America, did was get high off its own supply, so to speak. Okay, because America has taken in these different doctrines, which all is packaged as one. They call it American imperialism, but really, it starts with what? This Californication is a particular ethos packaged as a cultural commodity and broadcast throughout the world in order to penetrate into other cultures. And that's what's happened. America, in particular, California. But now what's happening, these nations, they're mad. These nations are they're bugged out. And now America's bugged out. All right, so I'm gonna just play some videos. Bear with me.
Meet the Landers, the revolutionary. It's day 20 of the partial government shutdown with no clear end in sight. And this morning, federal workers in California are demanding action. KPI's 5's Kid Doe is live in Mountain View this morning, where local unions are gearing up to help.
Good morning. This shutdown is already the second longest in history, and if it continues on past Saturday, it will be the longest. And so unions are springing into action, trying to figure out what they can do, what they can pay for, which brings us here to the Ramada Inn in Mountain View. Later on today, the Ames Federal Employees Union has booked some space for what they call a help room. They'll be handing out checks for groceries and gas, and also helping their members apply for unemployment insurance and emergency loans. This will also be a chance for NASA Ames employees to gather, commiserate, and support one another. And it turns out California has the highest proportion of government workers affected by the shutdown, about 42,000 statewide. You compare that with 800,000 nationwide. And a lot of them are really going to feel the pinch in this coming payroll cycle. More and more paychecks will not be coming through. And so now they're becoming more active and more vocal. And that includes the TSA Workers Union, who says that they've seen an uptick in...
In other words, the dreams of Californication have turned into a nightmare, because California's getting affected. The California workers are getting affected more than anybody.
Resignations. By the way, TSA workers are among the lowest paid federal workers in the country, a lot of them living paycheck to paycheck. The TSA itself is disputing all this, saying that wait times at the airports are actually within normal acceptable ranges. But the TSA Workers Union says if all this continues, then that will certainly not continue. Also, the Coast Guard is the only military branch that is not being paid during this shutdown. And someone actually spotted a flyer posted by the Coast Guard recommending ways to get through this shutdown, recommending things like babysitting, walking pets, and having a garage sale.
How do you tell an infant and a 2-year-old, like, hey, let's sell your toys because mommy and daddy need money?
And so today at 9 a.m., the National Treasury Employees Union, the NTEU, will hold a rally at the San Francisco Federal Building at 7th and Mission Streets. And then at 12 p.m. today, employees from the Environmental Protection Agency will also have a rally in front of their building, the EPA building at 75 Hawthorne Street in San Francisco. So back here live in Mountain View, the so-called help room will be open to NASA Ames employees at the Ramada Inn starting at 10 a.m. And we're live in Mountain View, Kip Doe, KPIX.
Yeah, Pure Hill. Dreams have turned into nightmares. All right, this is what's happening. This is what's happening in California.
One person is dead. 14 people are in the hospital after an apparent mass drug overdose in Chico. Here's a look at the scene. Emergency crews were called to North Chico at around 9:15 this morning. They used naloxone, an opiate antidote, to revive several of the affected adults. Police say the victims probably overdosed on fentanyl.
We knew fentanyl had been moving west. It really has been in other parts of the country where they're really seeing the greatest impacts of this particular drug. That is changing, unfortunately, and now we've had this mass casualty incident, like the fire chief said, and likely to have been caused from fentanyl. You bet. That should concern us all.
2 officers were also transported to the hospital after they were exposed to the drug. They were treated and later released.
Yeah, Pure Hill. Pure Hill. Dreams of Californication have turned into nightmares. Hey, and this one, through.
Now I just accepted a Uber ride. All right, so I'm gonna turn my lights on and let's bounce.
Aaron McLaughlin is new to Uber.
Basically made $5.47. You can get 4 or 5 trips done an hour. You know, you can make a $25 an hour, whatever it is. That adds up. You work 4 hours. You know, you make $100 a day. You know, I'll pay a bill.
Up until a couple weeks ago, the $58,000 a year he makes as an officer at the federal prison in Mendota, California, was enough to support him and his family. But because of the shutdown, McLaughlin won't get a paycheck next week.
It's gut-wrenching. I picked up a secondary job driving Uber. Is it embarrassing? Yeah, it is. I'm a federal employee, but yet I've got to kind of sink down a little bit and say, you know what? I've got to swallow my pride, and I've got to get behind the wheel of my little car, and I've got to drive around and shuttle people around like a taxi cab driver, just so I know that when I don't get paid next week and my mortgage is due, or my food, I got to put food on the table, or they're going to PG&E's going to cut off my power for lack of payment. I've got to have something there.
The Federal Bureau of Prisons employs 40,000 workers nationwide, most of whom are deemed essential. That means they still have to go to work during a shutdown. They're just not going to be paid until it's over. McLaughlin and his colleagues at other Central California prisons say prison staff are already stretched.
How is the government shutdown and the fact that you're not getting a paycheck affecting you guys on a daily basis?
I live paycheck to paycheck, so this has a huge impact on me. And in the next few weeks, I'm going to be struggling.
This is my 3rd shutdown in 7 years. I am a payer of child support, and I'm glad to do so. It, takes care of my daughter, but I can't make that payment. It's so inhumane. Their response to that is they put recommendations, call your landlord, ask if you can mow the lawn for rent. I'm surprised there wasn't a suggestion to prostitute yourself on there. That's how degrading it was.
How is the shutdown affecting your colleagues in the prison?
Gosh, I get probably 15 to 20 calls a day from my members with issues that this is causing. It goes anywhere from can't pay their mortgages, can't pay their bills, the late payment fees, the medical issues. We have some staff members battling cancer right now. Their medical bills are racking up. They can't pay them. Are they going to still be able to receive treatment? Traveling. I work in a place where a lot of people travel a great distance. I travel an hour and 15 minutes to get to work every day. So I average about $500 a month in gas. I know personally I can't afford the gas once the shutdown goes in the long term. The majority of staff are in the same boat.
Everybody's scared. They don't know what the hell's going on because this is different than 2013. We all went through the 2013 shutdown, and it was 16 days. There was a different sense in Washington. They wanted to reopen. There's not that sense right now.
I think also that on the Hill that there's notions that we're overpaid. I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of these people are not willing to help us. because somebody up there in the Hill is telling them that we're all good and we don't need any help.
Well, I want to ask you about that actually, because the president seems to maybe believe that too. And he said, this is more important than a paycheck. You know, federal workers would tell me to keep going.
I was very insulting.
Yeah. I completely disagree.
I'm a veteran. I fought in Iraq. I've served my country. I've taken life for this country. And you ran on that campaign. You said, quote, I'm going to take care of the veterans and I'm going to take care of law enforcement. I haven't seen it. With all due respect to the President of the United States, I have not seen it.
Earlier this year,
law enforcement is getting smoked right now. There was one chick in Davis, not too far from here. She got smoked, so-called Mexican. And a so-called black woman got smoked down in Shreveport, Louisiana. And then in Alabama, a Jake got smoked, a Jake Cup.
Here, we received a whole bunch of immigration detainees. And this was part of his zero tolerance policies. We didn't ask for it. We didn't want it. And now the things that we're getting from the president is no paycheck. It's disgraceful. And the fact that, my opinion, is that if he's going to go up there and speak on that behalf of federal employees, come to Victorville, see us, and listen to us before you speak on our behalf.
Were you guys all Trump supporters in 2016?
I actually voted for him based on his campaign promise that he was going to take care of law enforcement and veterans.
And the working man.
And he's let me down.
I supported Trump with the basis of, you know, you watch his campaigning and he says, I'm for the American worker. I want better border security. And then as his presidency started going on, I'm sitting back thinking, okay, now you're backpedaling on what you said. You want to drain the swamp. And my whole thing in the beginning was, when you drain the swamp, you're talking about the politicians. As we speak right now in Washington, D.C., congressmen and senators are still getting paid. They're not affected by this shutdown. They still get their paychecks.
But who's most affected? You Californians. I played it in a video before, or a couple videos before. You Californians, you getting affected the most. And good for your ass. Why? Because, going back to Revelation 18:3, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And that mainly comes from California. The concept of Californication is also familiar within the social scientists and is understood as American cultural imperialism emanating from California, which is why you're getting hit so hard. This Californication is a particular ethos packaged as a cultural commodity. Yeah, that's why they say if California wanted to be a country on its own, which is why there's always somebody wanting to have a referendum to break apart from America. They say what? California is a top 10 economy in the world. And what's the main commodity? Culture. Okay? Cultural commodity and broadcast throughout the world in order to penetrate into other cultures. Yeah, to turn them out, man. California is the main state, which is why California is catching so much hell right now. And Barakatayah Bashimi al-Shah. Hey, because as a California native, and I've lived here most of my life, this is the worst place. In particular, San Francisco, that's the worst city I've ever been to. And the Lord didn't allow me to travel to different cities. San Francisco, in particular, is by far the worst. And California as a state is by far the worst place on earth, man. Revelation 18:3, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And you see that, man. These leaders of the other nations, they adopted American imperialism, in particular California imperialism. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. That's right. The Chinese, they post up mainly where? In California. The Persians or the Arabs, which they heavy out on the east, so they everywhere, man. They heavy out here. You see? Let me get some more. This book of Revelation, chapter 14, verse 8. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. That's right, man. And that's why this place is falling. And in particular, that's why California is falling so hard, catching so much hell. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Yeah, fornication, because you seduce these other nations into following strange gods, man. Which they were already bugged out, but you really bug them out. Because fornication is what? Adultery. Matter of fact, get an example of fornication. Ezekiel 16:26. Thou hast also committed fornication with the Egyptians, thy neighbors, great of flesh, and has increased thy whoredoms to provoke me to anger. Yeah, so you go to these other nations and you spread your doctrine of wickedness unto them. It comes from America, which is why America is catching this judgment right now. And then, like I'm gonna keep saying, in particular, California. All right, this is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 5. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, the wine of the wrath of his fornication. Matter of fact, let me start at verse 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. That's talking about you so-called white people, man. You Edomites. That's who you are. All right? You're not white. You're not an American. You're not a German. You're not Australian. You're the Edomite of the Bible, the curse of the Heavenly Father. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yeah, that's right. And the just is talking about the Israelites, in particular, the elect of the nation of Israel. The brothers that you see on the highways and hedges, hazarding their lives to serve and please Yahweh Shah. We living by faith. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine. Yeah, like the brother Gabar, that the old serpent, that red devil. Yeah, and it outlines that in Revelation, the 20th chapter. That's who you are. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, the wine of the wrath of his fornication. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. Neither keepeth at home. Cultural imperialism. This Californication is a particular ethos packaged as a cultural commodity and broadcast throughout the world in order to penetrate into other cultures. Who's this talking about? So what if Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, ain't talking about America, what's it talking about? Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. That's right, because America is always trying to penetrate other cultures, get their resources. And what America does is it has people warm up to the idea of America through what? Californication. Oh, that looks cool. Yeah, man, I want to dress like that. I want to talk like that. Yeah, I want women to look like that. And it's all a big ass trap, man. Who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as death and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. That's the New World Order. And the main catalyst for the New World Order is the cultural commodity of California. You see? That's what they sell to people. Oh, liberalism. That's what they sell to people. And people get seduced by that, man. And then what does the so-called white man do? He says, the devil, verse 15. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that puttest thy bottle to him, and makest him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. So this devil forces people to drink of the wine of the wrath of his fornication. And then when they commit folly and they commit abominations, Esau blame them. Esau try to paint himself as the moral figure when the whole time he set him up to do that wickedness. You spread that fornication, that Californication upon them. Which is why now they're mad and they ready to kill you, man. This is Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. Yeah, and that's why these nations are going crazy right now. They can't wait to get their hands on you. Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of the wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. Yeah, so the balm is what? You got different stimulus packages. You have these councils on how to bring America back, make America great again. Oh, let's build up the infrastructure. Okay, let's cut costs here and let's put other money in here. That's the bomb. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. This place is done, man. Forsake her and let us go, everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. Which is why now the Heavenly Father is bringing all out judgment on this place. It's a full out blitz. All right, I'm gonna play some more videos. Hey, because through the Spirit, Babylon Fallen, you know, this playlist I got, most of the videos is out of California.
Secret that California has some bad roads and highways, but a new report says the Bay Area actually has the worst roads in the nation. Among the big cities nationwide, San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose top the list. And when it comes to mid-sized urban areas, the two top on the list, Antioch and Concord. KPI X5's John Ramos went to Contra Costa County to get a closer look what the study calls rough roads.
The city of Antioch has been given a dubious honor. For mid-sized cities, it has been named #1 for having the worst roads in all of America. The study, published by a transportation research group called TRIP, says federal data shows Antioch has the country's roughest ride.
There's just a lot of, dips and just gravel that's torn up.
But is it really the worst in America?
No, Concord would have to be the second, probably.
Okay, I didn't tell her to say that, but she's absolutely right. Concord's roads are ranked second worst in the entire U.S. The study rated pavement condition, road funding, travel trends, and economic development. It concludes that nearly 60% of the two cities' streets are in poor condition. But that seems a bit harsh to Jim Alpert.
I didn't think it was the worst in the country. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and they got potholes there that you lose a whole car if you go into them, you know.
The study says drivers pay nearly $1,000 each year in vehicle operation. And it's true, the roads aren't perfect. They have their share of cracks and potholes. But most look like this, pretty normal. And nobody I met from either town felt they deserved to be worst.
I don't see it. I could think of some worse, but I'm not sure.
No, we're not the worst in the country. We nowhere close to being the worst in the country. If we is, wow. Show me the greatest in the country. You know, I want to see what a road's supposed to look like.
Yeah, because these niggas in denial, man. California is in denial, but you know what? The Lord's gonna make it evidently clear, man. All right, let me get a few more. Bear with me, there's a lot. Oh.
I'm creating my
homo.
What they're calling a text tax.
Yeah.
So in an effort to try and help people who are, low income folks to get phones, they're thinking of taxing people for their text
Right,
messages.
so it would be sort of a flat tax. Not literally every time you text, you get a tax.
Right.
It would be a flat sort of tax that you'd see, or you might not see, because the way they love to hide those things on your phone bill.
Right.
You go down and you're like, what is this thing for? It's to raise money for something called the Public Purpose Program. That program pays for low-income people to get a break on their gas bill, energy efficiency programs, and other public interest research and development. So not necessarily so that, people who don't have the means can now have a cell phone. It pays for a lot of different things. So that's what they are considering.
And that public purpose program budget is almost $1 billion. It's risen from $600 million plus to almost $1 billion. So it's very expensive. And so that's why they're looking at that.
Right. right.
Yeah, it's always taxes. It's always taxes out here because America broke. Well, California in particular is broke, and everybody know it. Oh, and Trump, and Trump is with is Oh, here you go. Let me just.
It's a little scary not knowing if we're going to get the money we need to make all the repairs to make us.
Damn devil.
Knowing if we're going to get the money we need to make all the repairs to make us whole again.
Thousands have lost it all, but there's a new concern growing among wildfire victims tonight after President Trump threatens to cut FEMA funding for California's wildfires. The president revived his criticism of California today, insisting the state has mishandled its forest management program.
So can the president really withhold federal emergency money? We turn to CBS 13's Adrienne Moore getting answers for us on this hot topic issue. Adrienne?
Yeah, Sharon and Tony, the answer is yes and no here. On Twitter, President Trump said he will pull funding if reforms aren't made. And tonight, state leaders, the firefighters union, and fire victims are all fighting back.
It's a little scary not knowing if we're going to get the money we need to make all the repairs to make us whole again.
It's an anxiety-filled hurry-up-and-wait game for Linda and Steve Ridner after hearing the president's threat to cut FEMA funding for wildfire relief. The couple nearly lost their Oak Park home in the Woolsey fire, and they're not alone in their concern after President Trump revived his threat against California, writing, "Unless they get their act together, which is unlikely, I have ordered FEMA to send no more money. It is a disgraceful situation in lives and money."
I sure as hell should be able to expect a president that responds compassionately with the people that he governs.
Brian Rice is the president of the California Professional Firefighters.
You got a government that's shut down, and you got a community that has lost everything, including lives. We deserve better.
Hey man, he saw us through, man. Hey, them dreams of Californication again have now turned into nightmares. All right, I'm gonna keep saying it. I'm gonna keep pushing out that vibration. I'm gonna get a few more and then maybe a precept or two, and I'll wrap up. But this is real, man. This is not a joke. This is not a game. This is deadly serious. Oh, man. Oh, look at this, though, brothers. Show you how greasy so-called white man is. Unbelievable.
Let's dig a little deeper now on this latest news from PG&E, what it means, and the reaction from California's new governor.
And with that, let's bring in CBS 13's political analyst, Gary Dietrich. Gary, always good to see you. Thanks for being here. Obviously, this announcement by PG&E causing a lot of anxiety. So let's start by breaking down what this actually means for customers.
Well, sure, and that's really important. So let's start there. Like the governor said, nobody's lights are going to get turned off, and you're going to be able to cook dinner on Friday night in your gas stove. That's important for people to know. Right now, in the short term, certainly we don't anticipate any interruption in people's services from PG&E.
So what about fire victims, Gary? Many who filed suit are watching this saying, what's going to happen to the suits that I filed and what's going to result from it?
Yeah, now there's a group of people, Tony, that may have some concerns. Because if they win
we just heard about fire victims. So Trump ain't giving them no money. Now PG&E, which PG&E, that's Pacific Gas and Electric. So that's how you pay your utilities. You know, they provide the gas and electricity, but they filing for bankruptcy. And so the fire victims, they already not going to get no money from the federal government, from FEMA. And now let's listen.
Judgments against PG&E, those will now have to potentially go through a bankruptcy court process. And the concern is that they may not then be able to receive all of that judgment value.
You through. And the Lord is judging California and America as a whole.
So the fire victims right now tonight, probably some of the most concerned people.
And Gary, Governor Newsom today said that he's going to make this top priority, of course. But what's exactly going to happen down at the Capitol because of all this?
Well, there'll be a lot of scrutiny on PG&E, make no mistake about it. There's been talk about it, more legislation. Legislation came out last fall. For example, one of the requirements was a 15-day notice before anything like bankruptcy was filed. That's why we heard about it today. The bankruptcy will be filed in about 2 weeks. But there'll be scrutiny on PG&E, no question about it. And then there'll be ways to sort of say, how are we going to try to keep everybody whole in this? From ratepayers to fire victims to investors in PG&E to the state itself. So PG&E's talked about selling off their entire gas unit. All this will come under tremendous scrutiny in the Capitol in the next couple of months.
All right, don't move a muscle. I have to sneak in a 2020 question for you.
There you go, man. Hey, it's a full out blitz. It's a full out blitz on California. These people can't catch a break, man.
Here's another big story we're following for you here on RT America. The second largest school district in the United States has gone on strike after contract negotiations could not come to some kind of agreement. Our LA correspondent, Natasha Sweet, has been following the story, and she's filing this report to break it down for you.
Los Angeles teachers went on strike in the rain today, but it's after the unions rejected a deal from the school district. And now more than 500,000 students are left in the middle of the chaos. Tens of thousands of Los Angeles teachers went on strike this morning. And this is after months of talks between the union and the school district. Members of United Teachers Los Angeles voted last year to walk off the job if a deal wasn't reached that included higher wages and smaller class size.
Hey, man, and them teachers, them LA teachers catch pure hell. You got tribes is already banging in 6th, 7th grade, guns, pistols. You know, that's hell. You need hazard pay for that, man. Them teachers should be some of the highest paid people in the country. They should get paid more than cops. Shit. You see why they striking? Yeah, then it's like 30, it's like 35, just Jake's in there, man.
The question is, do we starve our public neighborhood schools so that they are cut and privatized? No. Or do we reinvest in our public neighborhood schools for our students and for a thriving city? We are here to say from the picket lines of Los Angeles that we choose reinvestment.
The union rejected a district offer Friday.
Yeah,
the deal included hiring
choose,
1,200 teachers, counselors, nurses, and librarians. It would have also reduced class sizes. As far as a pay raise, teachers would receive 6% more over the first 2 years of a 3-year contract. The union wanted a 6.5% hike at the beginning of a 2-year contract. But according to Superintendent Austin Buettner, the school district did everything they could within their means to avoid a strike.
We don't think it helps our communities, the same communities these legislators serve. We talked about the difficulty we've had so far in bringing UTLA to these conversations. Their offer or their demands are unchanged for almost 2 years, and we've told them we can't afford those.
According to the district, the union's demands could bankrupt the school system. So far, it's projecting a $500 million deficit this budget year, and billions are going toward pension payments and healthcare coverage for retired teachers. In the meantime, schools will stay open, and the district has hired hundreds of substitutes. Interestingly enough, the union calls the move irresponsible and urges parents to either keep kids home or join marchers. Now, in the last year, similar demands were made from teachers in West Virginia, Kentucky, Oklahoma, and most recently in Arizona. In Los Angeles, Natasha Sweet, RT.
Babylon, man. Babylon is falling. That's the only thing that you can deduce from this, that Babylon is falling. Yeah, pretty much that's it. You know, I'm going to get some more precepts. Look at it. This is the look of a through-ass California right here. He's through. He is out of there, man. All right, Revelation chapter 17, verse 1. And there came one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication, which we know what that wine is. You go to Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. Okay? It's talking about what? Esau's doctrine. Women over men. Children over parents. Homosexuality, lesbianism, transgenderism, fractional reserve banking. All of that, man. Which is why the Lord is judging this place. Revelation 19. And I'll start at the top. And after these things, I heard a great voice of much people in heaven saying, Halal Yahweh, salvation and glory and honor and power unto the Lord Yahweh our power. For true and righteous are his judgments, for he hath judged the great whore, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and have avenged the blood of his servants at her hand. And we're in the beginning of that. The Lord is beginning to judge this great whore, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication. And what state, I'm going to go back to it, is primarily used? A portmanteau of California and fornication. The concept is also familiar within the social sciences and is understood as American cultural imperialism emanating from California. This Californication is a particular ethos packaged as a cultural commodity and broadcast throughout the world in order to penetrate into other cultures, man. Again, that's why California is going through what it's going through right now, man. All right, so with that, I'm going to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, the Wadi Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, for judging the great whore, for giving me the Holy Spirit to do this lesson. I pray it was edifying and death to this place.
Dream of Californication. Dream of Californication. Dream of Californication.